In today's video, I'm going to go over a multitude of tips that are going to enable you to crush your professional resume, your branding, your selling tool that you're going to use to land your next professional job. If you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, while you're here, make sure to do that and hit that bell while you're at it so that you're notified every time I release a new video. My name is Ryan Stoltzfus. If we haven't met, let me give you a little bit of information about me. I am the founder of the Job Hackers Network. I provide the Job Hackers Method process as a career coach to director-level professional candidates who are looking to just absolutely nail networking as they create jobs for themselves and ultimately control their job search and grow their impact. All right, now that we're down here at the computer, let's dive in with tip number one. When you are getting ready to write your resume, you have got to start off with a clear value proposition. Who is it that you serve? What is it that in your strengths-based lane you drive towards solving? What is the pain within the business that you solve? You have to be able to identify that, have clarity around that. If you don't have clarity around that, how is the receiver of the information going to the interviewer going to have clarity around that? And I know it's hard to get down to the simple level of being able to say, this is who I am. This is what I do. My strengths in A and B have enabled me or equipped me to deliver these results to this audience. But you have to get there. But it'll put you into a headspace of saying, okay, that's my North Star. That's what I'm driving towards. And as you sit down to write out your bullets, to go through your history and put everything on paper for your resume, you have that North Star in mind. You know what it must be connected to, the value that you're trying to clearly communicate in a specific area where you create the most impact. Okay, so that's number one. And it is the number one most important thing that you've got to do. If you need a template for your resume, then I'm going to leave a link in the description down below so that you can grab the professional resume template. It'll walk you through each of these steps and give you cues so that you make sure that your most important piece of branding collateral is absolutely selling you forward to your greatest value. So grab that in the description below. Let's dive into number two. Use stories, not tasks. Your resume is not a recitation or reciting of the things that you do in your job. It is a list of the most important deliveries. I completed this specific body of work towards this result using these models, impacting the business in this way. When faced with this, I did this and it yielded this. Allow individuals to see a full, complete body of work in each of your bullets, because then it creates this shopping list of things that they're saying, oh, I see what this product creates, because you are a product. And you are going through both a sales process and a marketing process to put yourself out there to the marketplace. And I know it can be tough, but it gets a lot easier when you've done the work to think about the stories that back up your delivery, your value proposition. And then you just got to get out there on the market and sell yourself. You've got this drive now because you know what you bring. You know who you impact and to what extent you impact these individuals. Now you got to get your story out. It is amazing to see how the light bulbs just turn on when my clients get to that place where they say, oh, that's what I do. And that's who I do it for. I need to go find these people and I need to inform these people of this amazing work that I can deliver in their space. And because it's in their strengths-based lane, they're hungry to do that work because they know it fuels and engages them and lights them up. So keep this in mind. Use stories, not tasks, when you're creating your bullets. I want to talk about the power of page one. Page one is the only thing that an individual is going to read for sure. And they're not necessarily going to read the whole thing for sure. It's the only thing they're going to look at for sure. Page one. We never just jump right to page two or jump right to page three. But they're never going to go to page 2 or page 3 if page 1 doesn't pack a punch. I recommend using a career profile and then career highlights, and then starting into the work history. Because with your career profile, you're delivering your value proposition clearly. You're just giving a right hook to the face saying, this is what I do, this is what I bring. And then in your career highlights, you're backing it up. You're giving them immediate proof of how you're going to deliver that value. And even if an individual only read those two things, they would know you. They would know what you were going to bring. So this is the power of page one. Page one has got to hit hard, or else you might as well not have a page two. You might as well not have a page three if page one doesn't make them want to carry on and continue reading. So that is the power of page one. Use a number in at least every third bullet as you're writing out your stories and writing out that career history. This will make sure that you're able to deliver solid impact. You've got to show it. Nothing shows it better than providing a number. Now, here's the thing. I hear it all the time, but Ryan, I don't know exactly what that number was. I don't know exactly what the revenue was that we drove. Great. Give an approximation. Give a percentage. Give a number that we can see, touch, and feel, because it makes your story more real. It allows us to see you in our world doing that work because there was a numeric outcome. You have got to have a number in at least every third bullet on your resume. You've got to always communicate the scope of the work that you did, not just the job title, because job titles are not directly transferable from one organization to another. In one organization, a director of operations might mean somebody that has a $5 million to a $30 million P&L. When in another organization, it can mean something very different. Maybe you don't get a director title until you have a $300 million P&L. So the scope, the size of the P&L, the number of direct reports that you have, the number of leader relationships that you lead, the span of control of your organization. Is it global? Is it multi-country? Is it multiple leaders? What does the organization look like underneath you? What is it that you have both control over and influence over? This helps an individual to say, okay, I see that you had that director title, but for us, it's going to be a senior manager. Or vice versa, I see you have that director title, but for us, that's actually a VP. If these tips are hitting home with you, then hit that like button down below and answer this question. What is your number one tip that you've picked up today that you're going to immediately implement in your resume? You need to use an 11 or 12 point font on your resume. Don't go too small and use an 8-point font because you're trying to smash everything onto one page. Don't go too big and make everything look like it's titles and use a 15-point font. Stick with an 11 or 12-point font because that's what we're used to reading things in. And it also makes it so that if it's printed off and held in front of somebody, it looks solid. It's easy to take in. The next thing I want you to think about is consistency in the way that you're specifically formatting the document. Oftentimes I'll see people do things that are just odd, right? You have a title that's in bold, but then down below you have this title that's not in bold. All of your titles should be in bold if that's the way you're presenting them. There has to be consistency throughout this document. The number one way to kind of show somebody that you're not going to be consistent in the work that you do is by having a resume you're putting in front of them that's not consistent. You had plenty of time to get that document spotless. So fix all of those errors that are on it. Show them that the work that you do when you do get brought into the organization is going to be solid because you put in the time to do this work, the creation of this resume. You took the time to format it appropriately, but also to think about the way in which you're delivering your story. You are the narrator. You are the writer of your story. You have the ability to control that story, both in content and also in the way that you pack in the formatting appropriately. Are you ready to start or optimize your job search process? Do you feel stuck and need help connecting the dots? Join this free web class where you'll learn the step-by-step formula to control your career progression. We've helped hundreds of experienced engineering and operations leaders just like you to build their brand and grow their impact. Register for this exclusive training today to step into the driver's seat of your career. When you are trying to get that formatting drilled in, one of the tools that you can use specifically in Word is the format paintbrush. What the format paintbrush does, and I've got a picture of it right there with the arrow, when you click on that once, it enables you to take the formatting from one bullet and apply it to another piece of the document. It takes all of the formatting components of what you're highlighting, then clicking on the paintbrush, and then you're painting that formatting over the next thing that you're clicking on. If you double click on that paintbrush, then you're going to be able to paint here, paint here, paint here. It locks that paintbrush in so that you can then format multiple different segments to look like whatever it was that you wanted to replicate. This is extremely helpful when you're formatting a document so that you don't have to remember, wait, what font did I use? What was the size? How did I do the indentation? How did I add that bullet? No, it takes all of that formatting and applies it consistently throughout your document. This is a powerful tool in Word. The next thing that I want you to do is I want you to print and review the document. Look at the layout. Look at how it stands out on that page. Physically print it and hold it in front of you. Look at the white space. Look at the margins. Look at the spacing between words. Is everything easy to read? Is everything easy to compartmentalize? Ultimately, this helps in the conveying or the delivery of your story, that it is clear and it is easy to read. Printing it out and holding it is a really powerful way to really see that document. It's hard oftentimes when it's on our screen, especially with consistency across margins or consistency across different parts of the document. So this is a tip that'll really help you to be able to keep it crisp and clean as you're creating your professional resume. The next tip or best practice is to be thoughtful about where you're placing the page breaks. Use page breaks. A page break is something that's going to make that piece of the document jump down to the next page. You never want to end a page in the middle of a bullet, in the middle of a thought, go down to the next page, create a page break so that you're starting the second page, the third page, with a new, clean thought. The next role, the next company, something of that nature, so that you're not caught in the middle of a sentence when you're going from page 2 to page 3. So think about those page breaks, add them in thoughtfully so that you know you're at the end of a thought on page 1, starting a new thought on page 2. I find that a 2 to 3 page resume is absolutely the most effective. Once you've put about 10 years into your career, you need at least 2 pages to deliver your story effectively, to bring in that value proposition in your career profile, to back it up with the historical highlights, and then to start going through all of the history of what you're bringing to the table. And instead of trying to pack that onto one page, as long as you're consistent, as long as you're delivering clear value as you're going through the communication of your story, an individual is going to keep reading into page 2, into page 3. Because you are very thoughtful about each of the bullets that you've placed in there. You know that it is connecting to your North Star. It is drawing forward or proving out that you are who you say you are, that you will do what you say you will do, that your value is true, and it's all proof of that value. So I find a 2 to 3 page resume to be the most effective once you've got kind of that 10 years plus into your career and you've done some really amazing work. And you need that space to be able to tell that consistent and solid, impactful story forward. Stick around with me and watch one of these videos above, and I'll continue to take you down that path of networking effectively and ultimately having a job crafted just for you, according to your strengths, in the area that you can impact the most people and have the best bottom line results. So grab one of those videos above. See you on the next one.